Besides the problems that you are working on, and which are many, what do you think are the most interesting problems in physics now?
Well, our basic problem, I think most people would agree about that, is that there is a domain of physics where gravity should become as important as the other forces of nature. And that domain is, if you look at very, very tiny distances, much, much tinier than the distance scale relevant for the biggest particle accelerators we have today. If you look at very special values of masses and time scales for particles, then you hit phenomena, you describe a domain world where the gravitational force is as important as the quantum mechanical effects and as important as the relativistic effects. It all comes together. Now these are three different aspects of nature which have to somehow be combined in one theory. This turns out to be too difficult for us simple humans to understand. And so we all agree that the problems forced upon us with this question are very difficult problems. What of course we don't agree about is how to address them and how to proceed. And my attitude here is that we should try to get the grand picture first. And the grand picture is that there are physical degrees of freedom, whatever they are, so fields or particles, or you could put anything in between, and these fields, these degrees of freedom interact some way. And all this should happen in a way that is controlled by laws of nature. And our problem is to write down how those laws of nature work and how they're hanging together, how they can give relativistic effects, gravitational effects, and quantum effects, all three at the same time. And the strange thing is we don't even know how to start. Although many people think they know, and they say, well, particles have to be replaced by a line-like object, by strings, and then we'll solve the problem. And others say, no, you have to discretize space and time, and then we'll solve the problem. And others say you have to unify all the forces, and then we'll solve the problem. But I think it's a very complicated combination of all these approaches that we have to try. And one thing that most people except me agree about is that quantum mechanics is an essential doctrine that has to be obeyed by these equations. And my attitude is no, quantum mechanics is a doctrine that helps us solve the equations that we put in, but not necessarily has to be a part of those equations. And I have all sorts of reasons for believing that, but that puts me on a different track than most other people. But it's a track anyway, and my next observation is that there is a very important role to be played by black holes. And the black hole now is a new topic of my interest. Black holes arise when gravitational forces become too strong, and matter of any ordinary kind that we know will succumb to its own gravity. It's a very strange phenomenon that gravity sort of takes over the role of material particles, becoming a material particle itself in some way that we still do not quite understand. So knowing what to do there will be an essential ingredient in these equations. So quite generally speaking, the problem is how to start, how to imagine how physical degrees of freedom act together, how to imagine that it all makes sense. The problems that I used to have as a PhD student with the Young-Mills theory, with the weak interactions, which was called renormalization, now comes, facing us again 10 times as more complicated and wicked. That the theory is full of infinities. How do we take care of those? Whereas you really expect no infinities at all. These laws of nature should be completely under control of everything that happens in the universe. And this, at the same time, indicates why the problem might be so difficult. It is going to be the universal equation of the entire universe. That will be a complicated equation, no matter what. The universe is complicated. So don't expect something oversimplified. It cannot be right.
Okay.
It is something very complicated. So once you're at this stage, you say, well, if that equation is so complicated, how can we ever guess it? And the answer is, don't try to guess it now, but try to make small steps. Try to see, wait a minute, we have particles, we have fields, we have quantum mechanics, we have black holes. What is the next situation you can imagine where you can write down meaningful equations? Don't try to solve the whole bit at once. It's not going to work. You are going to fail. And I see it often as what I criticize as an attitude in my colleagues. They think they can find the equation right away. And I say no, but you have to make small steps towards finding that equation.
So you don't expect to see a solution soon?
It's not going to come very soon, I think. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that some young guy comes up and says, look, you stupid idiots, we should have done this and this and this and that. And that guy will not be me, I'm afraid. But anyway, it could well happen that a smart guy says, look, have you ever thought of this equation, that equation, that? You try to put that together, then it works. And in the past, it always has been like this. So,
yes.
So I'm confident that someone will stand up and say, oh no, you stupid idiots, you should have done this.